out to be too hard.
Okay, thanks. Let's go back to the phone line with James Dean, Florida Today. Go ahead, James.
Thanks very much. Mr. Culbertson, SpaceX, of course, preceded you in COTS and became pretty well known over the past few years as they made it to station and were also involved in commercial crews. So you're such different companies for people who may, outside aerospace circles, who may not know you as well. Could you try to contrast the kind of company that you are and also the different way in which you went about designing Antares compared to SpaceX's approach?
Wow. I'm not sure if I want to go into too much detail on that, but basically it's ironic. Orbital's been in existence for over 30 years, and we've got about 1,000 years worth of on-orbit experience with our satellites and approximately 1,000 spacecraft, rockets, missiles, various components that we have successfully deployed. So we've been doing this for quite a while. We are a publicly traded company. We do this on a commercial basis, and the company was founded on the principles of providing access to space on a commercial basis. And Dave Thompson and the other leaders in the company succeeded in that when they first launched the Pegasus spacecraft to carry a commercial payload over 20 years ago. And so we have been in this business a while, but we do take a little bit different approach. We are publicly traded, and we have to pay attention to our shareholders and their investments. By the same token, we want to keep building our business in multiple directions. Orbital has approximately 3,600 employees. We have 3 basic business units, and we address the market both in all 3 areas, from launch vehicles that are managed out of Ron Graby's group in Chandler, and who are responsible for the great work that's gone on getting ready for the Antares launch. We have the Advanced Programs Group, which I manage, which handles our national security space as well as our human spaceflight efforts, including the Cygnus spacecraft. And then we have our Space Systems Group that is responsible for both our commercial GeoSats as well as our science satellites that and other civil satellites that we launch for the government. So we have a diverse portfolio, and we intend to continue in business for a long time, moving in multiple directions. This is a big part of it for us. Antares is our largest investment as a company, and the Cygnus spacecraft is and its associated cargo resupply service contract is the largest contract we've ever achieved. So they are extremely important to the future of the company. And we do intend to branch out in multiple areas. We did kind of come late to this particular activity. We were selected for the COTS program about 1.5 years after the first 2 selectees, and so we've been playing catch up, but we're about caught up. We'll find that out tomorrow, I believe. And by the end of next year, we should have an additional 4 or 5 cargo missions under our belt. So we're going to be moving fast once we get this off the pad.
Okay, I want to take just 1 or 2 more questions here in the auditorium. Before I do, let me just check that Nick isn't still furiously hitting a mute button somewhere. On Nick, you there, Bloomberg?
Yeah, I am.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sorry, just real quick, these are pretty simple things. I just wanted to make sure that the terms of the supply contract are still the same as when they were announced. This is the $1.9 billion agreement to do 8 supply trips. Is that still accurate?
That's correct. Mm-hmm. We'll do more if they want us to, but that's the current contract. 20 tons.
Okay, let's go back to last 2 questions here in the auditorium, Tarek, and then we'll do 1 more. Get a microphone down. Yep, 1 and then 2.
Thank you, Tarek Malik, the space.com, and I think I just have 2 tiny little points. Just Frank, you mentioned it is the biggest investment for the company, and I was just wondering if you could kind of put a number on that or whatever you can share. And then for Bill, you did mention it's the biggest rocket to launch from Wallops. I'm just wondering what size crowd you're expecting at the visitor center and along the beaches here. Thanks.
I don't know that we fully know what the size of the crowd will be. In fact, this is kind of a trial run, I think, for us. This one probably didn't get as much notification as maybe some of the future flights will. So we're playing this one by ear, but we're tied in pretty good with the community and the other folks around. So, we're hoping that we have enough spots lined up for everybody to get a good look.
Several hundred million. And I want to echo something Bill said previously, and that's been the support of the community and the local, both law enforcement and government officials. They had to make a number of modifications to accommodate us. Just moving our spacecraft from the main base down to the island required a lot of modifications to the route, and moving wires and asking people to move their satellite dishes back a little bit and things like that, and not park their cars on the middle of the road in the middle of the night. But it all went very well the other night, and the local community, I think, sees this as a positive. It's brought a lot of jobs, a lot of excitement, and as we are here, the team working and those of us that are visiting go to the local establishments, we get a lot of positive feedback and a lot of a sense of, yeah, we're doing something new and different here, and we'll try not to disturb the crabs and oysters too much, but I think it's a good thing for the community.
Okay, let's take the last question here in the front. Give me a microphone right here.
Jason Power with Wired Magazine. First for Frank, then for Bill. To build on the comparison to SpaceX, could you talk a little bit about the fairly distinct difference between the rockets and the spacecraft themselves? SpaceX is obviously going all in-house, mostly in-house, and you have chosen to go sort of bridging the old space dynasties from the former Soviet Union and the United States and bringing a bunch of pieces together. If this continues to be successful, do you see Orbital doing more in-house building, following like what SpaceX, or are you going to continue to sort of bring in past suppliers and contractors around the world? Well,
yes, SpaceX does talk about being vertically integrated. I don't know the exact percentage that they are, and they try very hard to do as much as they can in-house. I know that. You mean the difference in business cases more than the technical aspects of the rocket, I assume, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they got 9 engines, we got 2.
Right. More from a perspective of...
Yeah, I understand. And Orbital has always been a company that's brought in the best of what's available in the industry for all of its projects. And one of the things that we have to maintain as a skill in the company is managing multiple teammates, managing our subcontractors, managing our vendors, but also building teams where we can all work together. We've got a really good team on this one with Aerojet, Yuzhnoye, ATK, Thales Alenia on the spacecraft, and a number of others who bring their best and brightest to this problem. The hardware, yes, much of it is legacy hardware, proven in various ways, not proven in this specific application or in this flight duration. And that's why we're doing the test tomorrow to prove that it really does work. But sometimes it's more cost effective to bring in those kind of proven technologies at the beginning to get to the initial phase. And then as you go forward, you determine what do I need to do for the long term to either enhance that particular technology or to bring in something else to make it even better or more capable. And we will evaluate that as we go downstream. But for now, we think we've got the teams working very well together and working very hard for the same goal, which is to safely launch this rocket tomorrow and demonstrate that we can launch liquids here from Wallops and get to the station.
Okay, quickly for Bill. Sort of the same comparison. Obviously, Kennedy is a much more famous and well-known space launch site. Do you see this as sort of Wallops, coming out party 60, 70 years after it came out and onto the scene? And
yeah. Well, it's definitely been a reintroduction. I mean, I think as a result of what has taken place here with Antares and the spaceport has kind of shed new light on Wallops and what it has done in the past. And to this point, it's mainly been a research location. But point of fact, I guess, was pointed out to me some time ago is that when the commercial marketplace started, we actually had some of the early versions coming out here with Conestoga and some of the in the early '90s, and so we've always been. I guess interested in that, but it's not been something that has really taken hold up until now.
And just to elaborate, I think what this shows you is there's no one way to do spaceflight development. There's no one way to do the hardware. Obviously, the two rockets are very different. They're both liquid first stages, but other than that, there's not a lot of similarity between them. There's no one business case. There's no one business approach. Multiple approaches, multiple strategies, philosophies can work. And I think one of the beauties of the COTS program and also in the Commercial Crew program is that we have this competitive environment where we can evaluate the diversity of these companies, and they're free to innovate in the ways that they, the way they can, which we've seen to be very, very effective, both from a cost standpoint and from a safety standpoint and from a performance standpoint. So that competition really provides an almost intangible benefit to the taxpayer, to NASA, and to the country. So that's something that's really on display here in this program. When you see the differences between our two partners, Orbital and SpaceX, we think we chose pretty well, because primarily what we look for is a committed partner, and we definitely got that with both of those. They were willing to work through the challenges, and yet they all had their own ways of getting up there to orbit. And I think that's a strength of the program, a strength of the approach that we are pursuing for this.
Okay, on that note, we're going to have to end this briefing. Just a reminder, we have another briefing coming up at 3 p.m., just a few minutes from now. We'll hear again from NASA and Orbital representatives, as well as a weather briefing. So stay tuned for that on NASA TV. You can find out more information about the test launch at nasa.gov/orbital, and all the ways to follow along with it on social media at nasa.gov/connect. But for now,